today is Saturday, but I'm going to try and run you through what's happened so far to get to where we are right now. So on Thursday we got here late, we got here about 10 o'clock at night, had to set up, and obviously as you can imagine it takes a little bit of time to get set up on a night. But luckily we got a cool awning that Neil Stevenson sorted out for us, so oh mate, honestly mega, it's made life a lot easier, I tell you. But we set up, saved some space for our friend Lenny, so Lenny's here as well. Got electricity, I mean what else can we ask for? Big thanks to Neil as always. He's like the dad of the group, looks after us, so it's really good. But yeah, so we set up, we got all done. Switched to Friday. I had the half day session off Lenny to help, so that basically I do the half a day, he does the other half. Went out on the Saturday morning. I missed the first one, missed the first session, but I managed to do the second one. The first session I missed. We had some brake changes we had to make over, so what we did is we changed over the discs and pads. Put some new disc and pads in there, which kindly both Luke Hopkins and James Northall, I forgot his name then, Luke Hopkins and James Northall sorted out for us. James from Bromsgrove Tyre MOT and Luke Hopkins from Quickshifters, massive, honestly, a pair of them, like sorting those out for me. It meant we was able to get some good breaks this weekend, and like I say, it's just been mega to be able to have the help from them, so I really like that. With regards to obviously the testing, we went out on the second session because we missed the first one for fitting the pads and disc and stuff and messing around like that, and then we went out on the second session. And I felt okay. We made a lot of changes on the bike. James had altered my seating position by lifting up the foot peg slightly because it made it easier for us. I was having a lot of clearance issues, to be honest. It was my biggest problem, with clearance issues. So by lifting up my pegs, it just gives me a bit more clearance to the floor, so it helps out quite a bit. So we did that and went out on the testing, not really expecting much, just trying to get a feeler in, and mega straight away. I mean, even though it felt very strange, yeah, I came back in and there was like, you look really smooth, and I was like, really? And I looked at my lap times and I was like, wow, like how have we managed to do that time? We managed to do a 15.9. Yeah, so we managed to get down to 15.9ish, I think, 15.7, something like that, which I did not expect at all. My fastest ever lap time here is a 15 dead, I think. We ran 15 dead, 15.2, something like that anyway. And so I never expect to be anywhere near that, especially in testing with all the messing around we did and whatever else. But my God, it just clicked, and yeah, it's working out, so it's mega. Yeah, and so I'm mega happy with that. And then obviously we were supposed to go out in there was only 2 sessions in the morning, so I missed the first one, and then the second one, obviously I did that session, that's fine. And then Neil kindly donated his last session to me, just said, look, have a feel on it and see how you feel on the last session, just make sure the brakes are working properly and stuff. Went out in the last session, and about 3 laps in, Jamie Harris had enough. I know he's all right now, but at the time it was a bit worrying because obviously it's quite a big crash. He looked like he high-sided, and the bike was at the side of the circuit. After speaking to him, it was correct. It was a high side, and it's quite a big one by the looks of it. But there's bits of his bike, and obviously as we come out the corner, I just saw the handlebar on the handlebar guard on the floor, and then obviously I avoided that, and then all of a sudden I just saw him on the left-hand side on the floor, like leaning up. So it was not very nice, and yeah, I'm glad he's all right. I just hope he's properly okay because he's got the endurance race today, so hopefully he gets on okay. But yeah, so it was it was a good session for me in the sense of like obviously getting a good feel, but I was enjoying it before obviously that crash, and then that was red flagged. That then meant obviously I pulled in, and it was a bit of a weird one, to be fair. We came in, and obviously the red flag was on, and nobody was here to help me put my tire warmers and stuff, because obviously they'd gone to watch on the other side of the circuit, which is fine. But obviously, so I was putting all that on. By the time I got it on, they then called us back out, and I just went, you know what, forget it, I'll just have to miss it. It's gutting because I could have done with the extra seat time, but at the same time, when I felt good in the first session, I wasn't really that bothered about getting more seat time. I was more like, you know, we know where we are now, so that's good. So obviously we didn't do any more on that night, and then obviously fast forward to this morning, and went out for qualifying this morning, and I can't believe how good it's gone, to be honest. Smashed my PB now. We got into a 113s. Don't know how I did it. Didn't change anything from yesterday. Still the same tyres, old tyres. Yeah, I think I'm getting better and better on those brakes, and I'm starting to feel them a lot more now, and enjoying the feeling of those brakes. Like I say, big thanks to Luke and big thanks to James, because honestly, you guys bailed me out big time there with these, and have massively helped, obviously, make me competitive, because those brakes was in a bit of trouble. Obviously new brake pad compound, which is a bit different, but my god, they work so well. And obviously the discs as well. I mean, new discs, but being Jordan grooved, it's just working so well. So honestly, can't thank you both enough. It's been mega. And a late night shift that James put in on that night, so big thanks to him. I'm sorry we got back late that night, because it was just it's a bit of a ball out trying to get this bolt out, and then obviously we had a nice chat afterwards, which was nice, because we don't really get to catch up much, so that was nice. But yeah, man, it's just going so well. I've got a race later on today, but we'll get ready for that. Just literally finished prepping. We just swapped over tyres. We're going to cuts. We'll try it, see how we get on. Big thanks to Matty Whelan on those ones for sorting out the tyres for me as well, because he's racing the Super Stock 1000. They've gone to cuts this year from the slicks. They've changed back over to cuts, so because of that, it means he's got some cuts lying around. So he said to me, so I can have some of them off him, so I bought them off him. So big thanks to Matty Whelan, helping me out on tyres as always. Yeah, man, just going well. It's going well. It's a good weekend. Enjoying it. Having fun, meeting some new people. Some people that I race with that I didn't even know, to be honest with you, that I haven't really chatted to. So it's really good. Yeah. Apart from that, we'll go into the next session and see where we are, and I'll hopefully update you then. Cheers. Right. So the weekend's just passed, and I thought I'd just do a quick recap on what happened over the weekend. I'll insert some videos and bits in between here as well. So, but yeah, so race one went okay. Didn't go amazing. Didn't manage to improve on my time from qualifying, but did a decent enough lap, I'd say. Still in the 13s, which obviously never expected through the weekend. So definitely a massive positive. With regards to positioning, we finished in 14th in our class, which was like 16th, I think, on the grid, something like that. The two newcomers directly in front of me. It's not exactly where we wanted to be, but it was definitely, you know, productive. Being up in the 13s, once again, was nothing we expected to be anywhere near, so it's good to have that kind of positive. And like I say, yeah, we still pushed all the way to the end, so I'll take that as a really good positive. But not setting the world alight with lap times, etc. But had a good race. Not really that eventful. It was quite a boring race, I'd say, in that sense. But then we roll on to race two. Race two went really well. There was a couple of DNFs for other people, which probably did help the positioning a little bit, but I got stuck right in and got involved in some good battles. Set a fast lap time, slightly faster, just in the lower 13s, and pushed as much as I physically could. I was well happy with that race, to be honest with you, because like I said, we got involved in some really good battles, some good overtakes to and from, and yeah, it was just it was mega. Well happy with that result in the. So race three, man, I had such a good race. Amazing start, got well and truly stuck in. Got into the pack, some really strong overtakes, and I just got into a big fight that I really enjoyed. Got a good move on, But unfortunately, I can't remember what lap it was. Or one of the poor lads in from Dark Motorsport, Tommy Caldwell, he had a crash at the top of the rocket. It was a really, really fast crash. The video on board looks horrendous. He just lost the front there, and the bike has just catapulted and destroyed itself. Me, David Crone and Snowball looked like we came through it. Them two entered first and I was just behind, and we were just basically dodging parts of the bike. It was not great at all. Obviously the bike was in pieces, and so that called the red flags out, because the bike was just, it was in the middle of the track, so it was never going to continue on. So yeah, they red flagged that while they did a cleanup operation. Sent us back out on a restart. We did the warm-up lap, which was 2 warm-up laps. Did 2 warm-up laps, went back to get ready to start, and then the heavens opened as we went to restart. So they red flagged the race and said, look, go back and we'll re-evaluate when we'll come back. We'll wait and see if it dies off. And the rain didn't die off within the time period that they gave it, so they ended that race, declared it a result, which is good and bad. Good because, I mean, we got in the 112, 112.9. I genuinely believe I could have had more pace, and I went forward. You know, finishing, I think that would put me in that race, was it in 10th? I believe it was in 10th, which is mega. It's probably the highest position we've had all year. And I felt so comfortable at that pace that, like, I just can't believe that the race was ended. It was just unlucky, but what a race that would have been. But yeah, I'll still take the time. I'm well happy with that. 112 is mega lap. So yeah, we'll keep pushing. And then finally on to race 4. Race 4 was just the Cup class and Ducati Cup. There was no newcomers in this race. So with regard to it, the positions were a bit closer, and exactly where you were more or less was where you were in the grid. So it was quite tight out in that sense. So that put me up. I can't remember it qualified me, but I just remember getting involved in the race. What happened was we had that massive downpour from race 3. The track was soaked, and I mean soaked, because it was torrential rain, just appeared from nowhere, and it was like, oh god, like this is it now. It's going to rain all day. We got out onto the grid, and the track was more or less dry. There was wet patches, but it was not dry enough for dries, but it was not wet enough for wets. Inters would have been the perfect choice there, I think, and I think anybody on Inters would have smashed it that race. But we all went out on wets, pretty much the whole grid. A couple of people went out on slicks, which was a bit of a gamble, like wet front, slick rear, or, you know, Inters front, slick rear, and that was a bit of a gamble. A few of them pulled in. I know McLaren from the front of the championship actually overtook him, and I remember looking at the rear of his tyre thinking he's got a slick on, and that is such a big gamble, he called, and it didn't work out for him. He had to pull in. So it was just at that time where it was just the wrong crossover. But my god, it was a good start for me. I got well and truly stuck in the battle, and I tell you now, I have not been that high up before. Well, not in the thousands anyway. I was up so high. I think I got a bit too excited. At one point I was in 5th in the race, and as I come through a few of the corners, I kept having moments with the rear, because the rear was clearly overheated and the front was just not working very well at all. So we had a used rear in, and the used rear was already chewed. It's the one we use at Croft. It was the biggest mistake I made. If I'd had a new wet in, I think I'd have been okay. But because it was a used one that had already been overheated, it just felt like jelly. Like, it was horrible to turn in, horrible to get on the gas, really hard to brake because the front just didn't want to work. It wasn't fun at all. But I just kept pushing and pushing, and I felt really fast, to be fair. We got down to a 117, and we was on it. There was a pack of 4 lads in front of me, which I believe was a leading group, which was the maddest thing. And then I was in 5th. So it was either a leading group of 3 or group of 4. I could see them just in the distance anyway. There was a group there, and I knew there was a podium result there if I got ahead of any of those. That I could have got to that podium position because they were just in front. And I was pushing and pushing, and then I entered into turn 2, and I had a weird feeling from the front, like it went to fold on me. It was such a weird feeling, because the rear, it felt like the rear keeps pushing the front. That was my biggest issue, was the rear was just like, I don't know, it just wasn't slowing down quick enough, and the front was just getting pushed along. So I got a little bit wide. I got to the next corner, and I thought, right, let's go full attack on this, like quality lap. Let's just try and push, because we can catch that pack, because I was catching them hand over fist. And I thought, right, I can catch this pack. And then got into the next corner, leaned in, and the rear just felt like it wasn't even there. Front didn't seem to want to turn in. So I had to stand the bike up a little bit, at which point Kieran Nicholson come flying past me like I was stood still. Amazing from him. What a move. He's straight around the outside. A really, really close move. Scared the living daylights out of me, if I'm honest. But yeah, so we got to the next corner and I saw red. I thought, right, that's it now. I can catch back onto him. Either use him as a marker or I can overtake him because I've got the pace. And the pack was even closer as well. So I pushed into the top of Rocket, braked into there. Braked a little bit earlier than normal just because that front feeling wasn't amazing, but I wanted to let the brake off later, push it more into the corner, so that's what I did. Caught back up a little bit to Kieran, kind of throttle X'd in, went for the brake again at the next corner, but I feel like I used a bit too much throttle than I usually use between the two corners. So when I went for the brake, the rear hadn't slowed down enough and I was expecting a lot from that front tyre, and with the way the conditions were, the tyre just didn't want to do it. And if you watch the footage almost in slow-mo, because it's only a short sector where it actually happens, but if you see, I go on the brake quite hard and abrupt, and then there's a very slight movement from the rear. It's only a slight one, and that's where the rear is trying to almost push the front. And I could feel this as it happened, but I didn't get a moment. It just literally, the front just folded completely, and we were down on the ground. First proper mistake I've ever made, really, with crashing, so it's a bit of a gut, to be honest with you. And the plan this year was to get no DNFs. That was my goal for this season, was to get no DNFs this year and finish a whole season. I'm a bit gutted about it, I'll be honest, especially as it was a stupid mistake from myself. I had the warnings before and I could have settled for where I was. I think the gap was massive behind me to P7, because I would have been in 6th when Kieran overtook me. But at the same time, when you're at that front pack, you just want to keep pushing. You don't want to back off. You don't want to let people have a chance. You think you can just keep going. Had we have came home saying 6th place, what a result that would have been. Best result of the season, best result on 1,000. But the fact is, I saw that podium possibility and I thought, this is the time to take it. I'm gutted it didn't work out, but I think you'll all appreciate that pushing for that position was worth the gamble. That obviously it didn't pay off this time, but if it had paid off, what a result that would have been. So it's just one of those scenarios, unfortunately, where when you're pushing that front pack, the gamble is always going to go 50-50, and unfortunately it went the wrong way this time. In another day it goes differently. So, but I tried. You can't say I didn't try, because I give it everything in that session. If you watch my onboard, and I was properly pushing from the start, so I was mega proud of the result. But I just want to say a big thank you to all my sponsors and everybody that helped me, because the brake system was the biggest improvement that weekend. I mean, I haven't changed anything about the way that I ride. I've rode the same way from when I first had this bike to now. The only difference is that with the braking system not working properly from day one, I just haven't been able to provide the results that I know that there's a possibility of. And it's been one of them things where I've been sitting there just scratching my head saying, have I missed that chance now? Have I lost what I had at the pace? Have I lost that? Is it gone? And I think this proves that there's still pace there. It's just a case of getting the result sometimes doesn't always come. So I'm going to keep pushing. It hasn't changed anything about the way I ride. The damage was so minimal that, to be honest with you, it's not going to cost much to repair at all for the next one, which is great. I've got some spares bits that we can just whack on and it'll be like brand new. Bar the fairings are a bit scruffy. They might be a bit tatty for the next race, but we'll be there. So yeah, I want to say big thanks to my sponsors, because I'll be honest with you, without the brakes stuff getting changed over, we would have been in so much trouble this weekend, because the braking was the biggest gain I've had this season, full stop. Not even this season, since I've started racing the thousands. And I feel like now we can start pushing on. So I just want to thank you all for joining me on my journey, and I'm going to keep pushing. It's not going to change anything, that little silly crash. Annoying, and it feels a bit stupid at the time. I was just like, what an idiot, because he didn't need to do it. But the more I sit there and think about it, I think the more you lot will appreciate also that to be in that pack, you've got to take those gambles, you've got to push. And sometimes it don't pay off, sometimes it does. Well done to Paul Burbank for winning his race, by the way. Smashed it. Well done to Neil and Lenny as well for their races, getting good points in their championship. I also come away with some really good points this race. This now puts me in the top 21st, sorry, in the championship. So we're nearly in that top 20 position, and there's only a point between me and 20th. So I'm there or thereabouts. So we just keep building on this now for the last 3 races of the season. Let's see how we get on. Thank you everybody for joining me, and yeah, on to the next one. Peace.